back for another week of the Jeff Tate Sports Podcast. This is episode 54 on a Monday, May 18th. So, just so I can get this out at the beginning of the podcast, I have some things planned for I'm looking at next 2 to 3 weeks. I mentioned I want to kind of break down some NFL positions, give you my top players at each of those positions, and I found this would be a good time to do that. So today and Wednesday are going to be my top 32 NFL quarterbacks. Obviously, that's all of the teams in the NFL, each starter who I think will be the starter for this year coming into the season, where I rank them. Today you'll get 32 to 17, and Wednesday you'll get number 1 through 16. I'm looking at doing the top running back rooms also. I figured that'd be easier to do than top 32 running backs because you have multiple running backs you rely on per team. So I think that would be interesting because maybe the best running back like Christian McCaffrey wouldn't come in at number 1 in that because he doesn't have a good running mate. So looking at that for Friday and Monday, looking at receiving crew for Wednesday and Friday of next week, and then possibly defenses. We'll see how these first three positions go, and we'll go from there, I guess. So once again, please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. Any feedback I get from you guys, I actually really take and look at it and kind of develop how I'm going to go about recording podcasts in the future, topics, stuff like that. To start off, before I get into my list, we had some live sports this weekend. It was awesome. The Bundesliga, which is the German top league for soccer, started on Saturday with no fans, and I watched 2 games this weekend of that league, and I'm going to tell you, it really wasn't that weird. Yes, it's weird looking up into the stands and not seeing fans, but it's still the sport you love and the sports you love to watch, just without fans. That even carried into Sunday when we had a celebrity skins match in golf. Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson versus Matthew Wolff and Ricky Fowler. Awesome golf match, 18 holes, raised over $5 million towards charity, which is awesome. And it's not that weird to me. Like, guys, when these sports come back, it's not going to look the same, but the product on the field is going to be the same. You're still going to get the sport you love. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer, golf, you name it. You're going to get the sport, and I don't want you guys to be too down when they do come back and there's no fans, because watch at home, tune in. These guys love when you watch them. It's just in a different capacity. So that was a big development over the weekend. MLB and NBA still we don't know what's going on, so I will keep you guys updated on those. So, without further ado, my top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL listed, and just so you guys know, no Justin Herbert and Tua on this list. I believe Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starters to start those seasons. I have Joe Burrow as the starter. Obviously, Jordan Love is not going to beat out Aaron Rodgers this year. So, without further ado, number 32. And how I did this list is going into the next year based off kind of what they've done in previous years, how I think they'll do next year in terms of the ranking of quarterbacks in the NFL. Just so you know, Tom Brady is not number 1 on this list, and yes, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, but based off of accomplishments and all that, but by talent and right now, I think that's how I'm kind of developing this list. So 32 is Dwayne Haskins. And I love Dwayne Haskins. I'm an Ohio State fan. I've watched him play, and I think he's a lot better than what he showed in his rookie year. He had 7 starts and 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 1,400 passing yards. And listen, in Washington, he doesn't have many options. Darius Geis was banged up, so he had an older Adrian Peterson. The jury's still out on Dwayne Haskins. Terrible offensive line. Trent Williams just traded this offseason. He's finally gone. I think it's too early to rank him, or too early to kill his reputation. I don't think he's the 32 worst. I don't think he's the worst quarterback in the NFL. But based off of everything, he would be number 32. I look at him going forward, and I think he's going to be in an interesting situation because they have a pretty good quarterback room there in Washington. They have a lot of decent guys. Kyle Allen did very well with the Carolina Panthers last year, and also Alex Smith recovering from a gruesome leg injury. We don't know if he's going to play again. And I just look at him and I say he's got to have a good year. Ron Rivera, new coach. That doesn't necessarily... He's not the coach that drafted Haskins, so we'll see. I do think him and Terry McLaurin, they were a lethal duo at Ohio State. They're going to continue to do that in the NFL. That defense is going to be pretty decent now with Chase Young, Montez Sweat. So we'll see. 31 on the list is the New England Patriots, a new quarterback who I believe will be starting, and that's Jarrett Stidham. No starts in his career. Really hasn't done anything in his career. He's thrown 4 passes, 14 yards, and an interception that was a pick 6. So what do I think on Stidham? I think Stidham's a very talented quarterback. I think Bill Belichick likes him a lot more than people do because he didn't go out and draft a quarterback. He didn't trade for a quarterback. They only signed Brian Hoyer, and then they undrafted free agent Brian Lewerke. Stidham has to prove a lot of things, but he's with Bill Belichick, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt over Dwayne Haskins because he has Bill Belichick. Who knows if this is a one-year kind of rebuild, get a top pick in the draft and draft Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. I don't know. Jarrett Stidham, you got a lot to prove. You got a lot on your shoulders, quite honestly. So you come in at number 31. 30, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick has been in the league for a long time. It's not like he, I guess, is not used to this role of kind of not being the go-to guy for years. Like, they just want you to be a good quarterback. And I mean, last year, he wasn't horrible. In 15 games, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 3,500 passing yards. His biggest thing this year is, can he keep the Dolphins relatively mediocre? Can they not be the worst team in the NFL? Because management will not want that again. You look at Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think he's pretty talented, and he can do a good thing for the Dolphins this year, and he gives Tua a year to hopefully develop. Maybe Tua comes into camp and just looks awesome and beats out Ryan Fitzpatrick and is the starter. That would mean a lot because that would mean he is in a better place to win than Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's a proven vet. We'll see how that goes. Number 29, and this might get some pushback from you guys, is Gardner Minshew. I know a lot of people like Gardner Minshew, and in the rookie year, he didn't disappoint. He was 6-6, 3,271 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I'm just not as big of a fan of Gardner Minshew. I don't think he has great options down there in Jacksonville, and that's why I have him at number 29 in this list. It's just my opinion. I don't know if he's a guy you stick with for years to come. I just really don't know if he's obviously he's in last year's draft with good quarterbacks, Haskins, Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones. I personally, by talent, I have him as the worst of those 4. I think Dwayne Haskins is more talented. Gardner Minshew had a better year last year. Gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here. I don't think he's bad. I'm not as high. I see some people have him in the top 20 in terms of NFL quarterbacks going into this next year. I don't see it. Now, 28 is also another situation like Ryan Fitzpatrick, and this is Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is now probably going to be the starting quarterback. Well, actually, they've announced he'll be the starting quarterback. Phillip Rivers has moved on. Justin Herbert has been drafted, but I know the Chargers want him to sit and develop a little more. And Tyrod's not a bad quarterback. In 70 career games, 54 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, almost 10,000 passing yards. I mean, he's not, like, you know what you're going to get with Tyrod, and it's not going to be inconsistent. He also has almost 2,000 rushing yards. So the Chargers are pretty talented and have a lot of good guys, a very good defense. I don't think the Chargers are looking to lose a lot of games this year, and I think Tyrod gives them a better chance to win games than Justin Herbert does in his rookie year. Number 27 is a quarterback from the Chicago Bears. Might not be the one you guys think. I think Mitch Trubisky is the starter for the Bears week 1. Nick Foles has been acquired since the end of last season. And Trubisky in 2 years, 3 years, had about as polar opposite of a 2019 to a 2018. 2019, he was pretty bad. Like, the guy was terrible. In 15 starts in 2019, 17 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Just missed so many open throws. Just didn't look like a top player that he was coming out of college. The year before, he wasn't bad. 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I just look at Mitch Trubisky. He was even a Pro Bowler in 2018. I don't think he really, he was a Pro Bowl replacement. He wasn't a top 8 quarterback in the NFL. But I look at Mitch Trubisky. He's got talent. I think he's not a horrible quarterback. I do believe, though, that he's one of the worst in the NFL in terms of just decision making. I think he makes some horrible decisions. And we will see with him going forward. Obviously, it's going to be a short leash there in Chicago. And they did not pick up his 5th-year option, so this could be the last year. 26 is the rookie Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, obviously, we have no stats for. But I think Joe Burrow is going to be a pretty good NFL quarterback. I don't think he'll be as good as everyone thinks. The reason I say that, at LSU, he had the perfect system. He had Justin Jefferson, first-round draft pick. Jamar Chase will be a first-round draft pick next year. Plenty of talent out there. And a very good offensive scheme with Joe Brady. I think Joe Burrow is a good quarterback, though, for the NFL. Really interesting there in Cincinnati with A.J. Green. You got John Ross. You got Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins now. Very good quarterback. Friendly options with a good running back in Joe Mixon. 25, Drew Lock. Drew Lock is in his second year of being an NFL quarterback. He has 5 starts, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,000 yards. And the reason I have Drew Lock pretty high, given what he did last year, is his weapons are going to be awesome. You have KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. You add Melvin Gordon to go with Phillip Lindsay. I think it's a very good offense that can put up some points. And Drew Lock knows how to throw it. Gunslinger of an arm. So I have Drew Lock at 25. Now, number 24, this guy might be lower on my board than a lot of other people, and that's Derek Carr. Just not a big Derek Carr fan. That's just my opinion. He's been in the NFL 6 years, Pro Bowler 3 times, and in those 6 years, he has a 39-55 record, almost 23,000 passing yards, 143 touchdowns to 62 interceptions. I don't know if he's John Gruden's guy, so we'll see here. Not a bad quarterback, but just based off of what I've seen from him, he's getting a lot older. I'm kind of confused if he is the guy for the Las Vegas Raiders now, and we'll see going forward. John Gruden got Marcus Mariota to back him up. If Derek Carr struggles, I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of Marcus Mariota. 23 on my list, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones had a pretty good rookie year once he surpassed Eli Manning. Yes, he was 3-9, but his stats look pretty good. 3,000 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. I just all in all think he showed better than I expected in his rookie year. He's got Saquon. Not a great receiving core. You got a guy like Sterling Shepard. Don't really like any more of their options. Golden Tate is there. He's getting a little bit older. I don't know what his production level looks like going forward, but I have Daniel Jones at 23. I think he'll be a good quarterback going long term, and I don't think the Giants are mad that they picked him over Dwayne Haskins 2 years ago. 22, and this one might also get some pushback, Baker Mayfield. I just don't think he's as good as people say. My roommate's a huge Baker Mayfield fan, so sorry if I offend him. His first year in the NFL, he started 13 games, 6-7, 3,800 passing yards, 27 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. And the hype train was in Cleveland. They got Odell, Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt was added to the team. It's just they have Nick Chubb, just a lot of hype surrounding that team, and he goes out and goes 6-10 last year. 22 touchdowns, 21 interceptions. He just makes some bad decisions. The Browns improved the offensive line there, which was mightily needed, but I just don't see him as a top 20 quarterback in the NFL. Number 21 is another young gun. A lot of these guys are young guns because they haven't played a lot. So Sam Darnold. I like Sam Darnold a lot. In 2 years, 11-15 record, 6,000 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, but 28 interceptions. So his interceptions are very high. That's a young quarterback mistake, just making throws you think you can make because you made them in college, but you can't make them in the pros. The Jets are interesting because they have Le'Veon Bell, so they have a very good running back. The offensive line's terrible. Not really any great receiving threats, so Sam Darnold's going to need some more help, but the talent is there, and look for him to keep improving as his time goes in the NFL. Number 20, Teddy Bridgewater. And Teddy Bridgewater finally gets the start he wanted. In 28 career starts, he's 22-12. In 34 career starts, 22-12. Almost 8,000 passing yards, 38 touchdowns, 25 interceptions. It's his chance. It's what he wants. He's with Carolina. Matt Rule is going to bring just an air it out offense. They got Robbie Anderson. They have Curtis Samuel. They got some options there in Carolina. DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, obviously. He's got options, and this is his year. Like, they paid him a decent amount of money. Still relatively a bargain for what quarterbacks get paid nowadays, but the talent is there, and you're going to have to see it on the field to kind of judge him going forward. Number 19 on my list, Kyler Murray. I love Kyler Murray. 1 year with the Cardinals, he went 5-10-1. 3,700 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 550 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns as well on the ground. Kyler Murray's talented and did way better than I anticipated. He was the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Cliff Kingsbury is a mastermind on the offensive end, and I can't wait to see what Kyler and him do moving forward. You look at the guys they have in Arizona, Kenyon Drake, Larry Fitz. You have Christian Kirk. So a lot of very talented players for Kyler, and the offensive line's getting better. That's the big thing. They need to get that more improved because he was sacked way too much for a franchise quarterback. Number 18, and this guy surprised everyone last year, Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill's been in the league for a while now. He's in his 8th year coming into this season. Obviously, last year was his first year in Tennessee. Really wasn't anticipated to be the starter, but he beat out Mariota and got them to the AFC Championship. Kind of crazy. Only 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, which is a very good TD to interception ratio. 2,700 passing yards. Like, he didn't throw for much, but he didn't need to. You have workhorse Derrick Henry behind you. Like, you don't need to be throwing it for 300-400 a year. He's got some solid options outside with A.J. Brown, Corey Davis. You just look at it, and it's like, they got some good dudes there in Tennessee, and I know they want to compete for another chance at getting to the Super Bowl, or just a chance of getting to the Super Bowl. I like their team. That's a tough division, though, with Houston and Indianapolis going forward. And my last one at number 17 that you're getting today is Kirk Cousins, the Michigan State man, who is the big money man in the NFL. He has now played 8 years in the NFL, entering his 9th year next year. He's a Pro Bowler the past season, 3,600 passing yards, 26 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, so a 5.9%, a really good touchdown interception ratio there. He's at about over 4-1 touchdowns per interception. And Cousins won a playoff game last year, and that was kind of his big downside of his career so far. Just people, he hadn't won a playoff game, which you got to win playoff games. And I think if he probably won more playoff games, he's higher on my list here. I think Kirk Cousins is a very solid pocket quarterback. We'll see what he does next year without Stephon Diggs. He still has Adam Thielen, the addition of Justin Jefferson, and he has Dalvin Cook, so we will see. So this will wrap up episode 54 of the Jeff Tate Sports Podcast. I look forward to seeing you guys back here Wednesday for number 1. through 16 top quarterbacks in the NFL. Have a good day and see you Wednesday.